Growing up, I always had small arms. Decent chest, decent back, but never had the arms that I actually wanted. Now I'm going to put this down to two things. One, just half-hearting them at the end of my sessions, and two, just not training them correctly. My arms have grown the most I've ever seen before during these past 6 months, and it was all because of this session and the tips inside I'm going to tell you. In this video, I'm going to run you through my delts and arms day, which has completely transformed my arms and the pointers that I use with myself and my one-to-one clients. My name is Leo. I've coached over 25 guys to drop body fat, build muscle, and finally get out of that skinny fat cycle that they was living in. I'm currently in the back end of my gaining phase, eating upwards of 4,000 calories in preparation for my photo shoot in November. So hit the subscribe button to stay posted with the journey and for more tips like this. Starting things off with a cuffed cable lateral raise. Now, I put these at the start of my session for two reasons. One, I have quite weak delts, so I'm going to prioritise on where I have more energy. And two, it's easier for a muscle to get short and really exhaust the muscle before you go into your pressing at the start of the session, again, when you have the most energy. Really thinking here about keeping my traps suppressed and my elbow above my hand. A common theme in this video and in this session is you'll see everything is trained to failure. Next up, we have a machine seated shoulder press. Now, I always opt for a machine because, again, my delts are quite weak. So having a machine will allow me to keep more stable and actually focus a lot more on contracting and lengthening my front delt. You do get a lot of front delt activation during incline presses, say for a chest, but again, my delts are quite weak, so I always have at least 2 variants of a shoulder press over the course of a week. Really milking the lengthened part of the movement to allow my front delt to stretch completely, and then at the top I'm thinking about locking out my elbows and contracting at the top. Now the delt work is done, we are into biceps. Now I always put these before my triceps because my triceps are a lot more dominant compared to my biceps, so I allow them to get a lot more activation because I am a lot fresher towards the start of my session rather than the end. Here I'm thinking about keeping my elbows as stable and as still as possible, driving them into the pad while pulling the cable towards my face. Now you may not have a machine like this in your gym, but any preacher curl machine will do. Really thinking about stretching and pausing at the bottom and then driving my hands towards my face to allow my bicep to contract. A common mistake I see in this exercise is the shoulders are rolling backwards. Now, this is only taken away from your biceps. So if you can keep them shoulders nice and stable and allow your elbow to rest on the pad and drive your hands towards your face, you're going to get the most bicep activation compared to if your shoulders were rolling around. Into the first tricep movement of the session, we have gone with seated dips. Now, I always like doing these on a machine because, again, it keeps me very stable and allows me to bias the triceps a lot more compared if it was a normal dip, where I always feel like I roll forward a lot more, which will bias my chest. Now you can see I'm staying very upright, which has allowed me to stretch my elbow as much as possible. You can see my elbows driving back and then driving forward once I'm contracting. Again, everything is taken to failure. Main focus here is driving my elbow back towards the room as much as possible to allow me to flex my tricep as much as possible. And then imagine them push my elbow in front of me to allow my tricep to fully contract. Next up, we've got a seated dumbbell bicep curl. Now, this is the one movement where I can really feel my biceps stretch in the lengthened position, keeping my elbow locked towards my side and not moving it. If you move your elbow during any arm exercise, it's only taken away from the target muscle. As you can see, they're staying in the same position when I'm curling up and lengthening my bicep at the bottom. Even when the set starts to get hard, my elbow is staying stable, allowing me to put all of the tension onto my bicep and really think about curling up to my shoulders. Another tip with these is to keep your shoulder blades retracted, which is going to allow you to bias your biceps even more considering your elbow is stable. Now into the last movement of the session, we have gone with a dual rope tricep cable extension. Now in this gym you've got a long rope, but if you're in a gym where it doesn't have this, you can just use 2 ropes on 1 cable. It's going to allow you to stretch and contract your triceps a lot more while keeping your elbow still. With 1 rope, it only allows you to get so far, so that's why I always opt for a longer attachment. Again, elbows are staying completely still and stable by my side, and all I'm thinking about is driving my hands down to my pockets. Again, elbows staying still even when the set's getting hard to allow my tricep to get all of the tension through the movement. Common thing you see in this video, as always, everything is training to failure. If you want to grow any form of muscle, you need to be training to or close to failure. If you stayed to the end, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did want to run this session yourself, I have a link in the description to 3, 4 and 5 day training splits with the delts and arms session in this video included in that. So click the link down below, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button and I'll catch you in the next one.